that. Iris, you're back. Vado to pull up a chair.
Oh, grazie. Maestro.
Oh, please, Iris. I am no longer a maestro.
Maestro. You were speaking about women. Huh? I'm curious. Can you remember your first love?
Everyone remembers their first love. But mine was at a rather young age.
What, you were only a teenager?
A little bit younger than that. I was barely 4 years old. It's true. I was in love with a little girl at the kindergarten. Her name was Fulgeri. She was so pretty. And we used to sit on the floor together and sleep with our heads next to each other. And you'd hear, "Where's Toscanini?" And they'd find us in the girls' section. I was with Fulgeri. Then she died. Yes, she died, and I cried and cried. And then later, at the conservatory, I would look out of the window, and I would look past the poplar trees to the cemetery and think of that little girl. It's strange, but I never knew her first name because they only always called us by our last names.
Papa, it was 83 years ago, and you still remember her so vividly.
Oh, si. Dio santo, if I were a painter, I could paint her portrait. I have so many memories of my earliest childhood.
You must have been a real handful as a child. I can't even begin to imagine.
They told me I was serious and rather good-looking. When I was 5 or 6 years old, there was a 16-year-old girl working in my father's tailor shop. Used to take me to bed with her.
Really? Is that true?
I don't think much happened, but you could say she was my first woman.
Ah, so that's how it all started. It seems my papa was more than a musical prodigy.
Hey.
No wonder my mother was so concerned.
It runs in the family. My mother's parents didn't want her to marry my father. My father ran away from home when he was young, so they thought he was irresponsible. He fought in the wars of Italian unification with Garibaldi. At the Battle of Aspromonte, he and his comrades were captured. Many were executed on the spot. My father was given a life sentence, but the king pardoned him after 3 years in prison. So he rejoined Garibaldi. But first, he married. Now, legend has it that his convoy was passing through Parma and he jumped off the train to spend the night with my mother. And that's when they made me. But when I was growing up, I honestly thought that I was my mother's unwanted adopted child because she was so hard on me. I couldn't understand. My sister was never punished. She was adored. I was constantly smacked on the head, and my mother would give me 1 sugar lump less than my sister. These things make a deep impression on a child. As a child, I loved going to church. I loved to see the colored paintings and hearing the music. Singing was fun for me. And then after, they'd hold up those sacred icons for everyone to kiss. And I used to change places 3 or 4 times so that I could get more kisses. My mother noticed me running around the church, and when we got home, she would smack me across the head. She never forgave me.
What about your father? What was he like?
Oh, he was a fine man. He was very handsome. My mother was always jealous of him. The women used to run after him. What's a young man to do? Some say yes, some say no.
It's hard to find a man who says no. Were you able to say no?
I've said no many times, but I'm not made of stone. The newspapers and the public spoke very badly about me. Women were always to blame, as if I never worked and women were my only preoccupation. Rosina Storchio, Geraldine Ferrara, whoever. But I didn't have so much time for women. When you work with the kind of hours and dedication that I did. You know, I've always thought that a woman's love is superior to man's. It aims towards divinity. We men are nearly always banal. Oh, what a vile race we are. But what can I do? I'm only a man. I was a good, honest, but unfaithful husband. Carla was a good wife. She was honest and faithful. But in a life lived together, that's not everything. Ah, Carla, she was a saint. From the day we met, I remember how she was very sweet and a bit strange, which I liked. We were off to a turbulent start the very day we got married. I was well known at La Scala and desperate for privacy, so we married far away in Conegliano. But instead of being left in peace, we were serenaded by a large band that showed up at the station to surprise us. I was so furious, I didn't eat for a week. We got away to a resort finally, and that was the night that Walter was conceived. We were married, listen to this, on the 21st of June, 1897. And Walter was born on 21st of March, 1898. Exactly 9 months later. He was born in tempo, like a good conductor. But that was also the last time he was punctual. But matrimonial life wasn't what I had imagined. That dream of spiritual and sensual harmony that we all look for often dissolves the day after the wedding, or soon after, and then forever.